how has the Galloway win gone down there?
Well, it's no secret that George Galloway is extremely anti-Israel, so nobody here, of course, is happy about him winning. And I don't think any Jews in the UK are happy either. George Galloway is, I would say, the most controversial member of parliament that the UK has ever had, given his record of what he has said in recent years. 10 years ago, he declared Bradford an Israel-free zone, the equivalent to saying in Leeds, you can have no Pakistanis. He has been embraced by Ismail Haniyeh, Hamas's leader, where he was giving a Palestinian honorary passport. And not long ago, he tweeted about the war, about 6 weeks after the October 7th massacre. He said the foul allegations of rape have been dropped by the Israeli government. The 40 beheaded babies has been downscaled to one dead baby, not beheaded, and killed by persons unknown. Two-thirds of Israelis killed on October 7 were military personnel, and on and on and on. So spreading the most vile lies, denying that rape happened, first of all, saying that two-thirds of those who were killed on October 7 were military personnel, also a lie. So generally, I think I'm quite shocked, to be honest, but I'm also not a British citizen and I don't live in the UK, so I don't follow the ins and the outs of the politics. But I would just say someone like him with these statements behind him, it's quite shocking to see that he's flourishing like this.
Jotam, can we talk about the incident surrounding the aid convoy yesterday and the deaths of more than 100 people in Gaza? The exact circumstances of it, not clear still, but the IDF has admitted that some of its soldiers did open fire.
Yeah, so this is extremely troubling, first of all, because dozens of people have apparently been killed. And of course, Israel is once again in a situation where it has to defend itself because it's immediately being blamed by Hamas for killing 104 people. The thing is that Israel yesterday made a huge mistake by giving two different versions of what had happened. Now, whether they simply hadn't checked it before they spoke or whatever happened, it doesn't matter. I was on a briefing with an IDF official who said that some soldiers had indeed fired warning shots and later also fired at those who did not stop before they were seen trying to ambush another truck and getting too close to Israeli soldiers. He said that roughly 10 maybe had been killed. Later that evening, the official IDF spokesperson said no soldiers, no IDF fire was aimed at any of the Palestinians. So those two stories alone make Israel's explanation somewhat doubtable. But that being said, we have to remember that we cannot take Hamas's statements for granted. When Hamas says 104 people were killed in an Israeli massacre, the alarm bell should ring. Because it's only a couple of months ago when Hamas blamed Israel for killing 500 people by launching an Israeli airstrike at a hospital. Now, that turned out to not be true. It was debunked over and over. It turned out it was actually failed rockets fired by Islamic Jihad or Hamas that killed those people, and not 500. So we really need to be careful with these numbers. We have to remember that Hamas is trying to inflate anything that it can, especially casualty numbers, and it's trying to make Israel look as bad as possible to put more pressure on Israel to withdraw from Gaza. Now, of course, Israel is a party to the war, so we have to be very careful with what they say, but to take Hamas's statements for granted and to just go with it as truth is very, very problematic, to put it mildly.
Yeah, Jotam, Hamas are terrorists, so we should always question and do our own investigation into what they are claiming. But can you understand why some people in the West, especially these pro-Palestinian protesters who are going out every weekend in our capital here, can you understand why they are going to be sceptical of the Israeli government and what they are claiming is happening if they're telling us two different versions of events?
Absolutely. And again, as a journalist, I'm always skeptical of what Israel says, especially the military. We know that the military has a track record of often saying things that simply aren't true. So we have to be very careful. But those who go on the streets week after week chanting genocidal things against Israel and Jews and whatnot, they don't listen to Israel no matter what they say. It doesn't matter. What Hamas says is what goes. So if it says 104 people killed, this is what they'll go with. And that's our job as journalists, to really make sure that before we go out with these stories, we need to at least have both sides, but also we cannot take Hamas statements for granted. It's equivalent to taking Islamic State spokesperson, his statement for granted and just go with it as a headline. There's no doubt that what happened yesterday was a tragedy. It was hungry people trying to get food from aid trucks. That in itself is a tragedy.
And that's the point, isn't it, Jotam? I mean, if more aid was getting in, you wouldn't have seen scenes like we did yesterday.
Absolutely, but that's a whole different debate, because then again, it's word against word. Israel is saying we do not put a limit on how much aid can enter Gaza. We have hundreds of trucks waiting for the United Nations to send into Gaza. They are not doing their job logistically, simply.
They're also accused of slowing down the checks at the borders and preventing the aid from getting through fluidly. Again, this is my point. When we are not on the ground, which is a tragedy that we as journalists cannot be there trying to verify these things, it's extremely hard to know what's up and down. But we have to remember that both sides are saying something, and we need to try and get to the bottom of it. We cannot just say Israel is not allowing any aid to go in. That's not true. Hundreds of trucks are coming in every day. But again, could Israel do more? I'm sure they could. There's no doubt that they could do more. Could the United Nations do more to actually get this aid out? Undoubtedly. So again, it's really very, very important that we get the nuances here, because otherwise you have these stories that run wild and you have one part looking like the bad guy in all of this. There are two parties at war here, and this is how we should treat it.